Hey guys, Horror Man back for another review. So today we're going to talk about something that's not quite horror. This is the Marvel Legends Winter Soldier figure. Now, the one thing about this figure that's kind of odd right off the bat is that it's actually based off of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Disney Plus TV show. So you see all the insignias here. And it says Winter Soldier Flashback. So there's actually a flashback scene in that TV show. I guess this is a bit of a spoiler, so if you haven't seen the show, spoiler alert. So they actually do show a flashback scene of him as the Winter Soldier, and he's kicking ass. It's kind of weird that they picked the TV show to base the figure off of, but at least we're getting a much needed update of the Winter Soldier, so I am happy about that. Now there is a couple things that kind of suck because it's the flashback scene and not from the movie that you're not going to get. So we'll talk about that later. So just taking a look at the packaging here, it's just that classic style Hasbro packaging. It's not going to be like that Infinity Saga packaging. This is just that standard Marvel Legend packaging. And again, you get all the marks on there, Hasbro, Disney Plus, the TV show. There is like the star symbol at the top. And then over to the side, you get a really cool picture of the TV show Winter Soldier. And then over to the back, you get that same picture, but you do actually get a read-up about it. And it says, though Bucky Barnes has fought to become himself again, in his darkest nightmares, his greatest fear comes to life, that he is still the Winter Soldier. So pretty cool little read-up, and it's in multiple languages. So we'll do some comparisons later. I'll show you all the accessories, interchange the heads, and a little bit more like articulation and stuff like that. I'm not going to go super in depth with it because it is some of the same stuff we saw before. So let's go ahead and get him out of the box and have a closer look. Alright, so here he is outside of the packaging, just in the same pose he was inside of the packaging. I just want to show real quick that he does get this cool little backdrop, just in case you want to try to do some toy photography or something with it. Alright, so taking a look at the first head sculpt, and this is the one that is on the body inside of the box. I think this is the one, honestly, that everybody's going to want the most, because this is the one that they never really seem to make. It's the one that's just a mask without the goggles. So I really like this one. I like that his hair is kind of in his face just a little bit, and the hair itself is really, really well done. It's completely different sculpt than what we've seen before, totally redone. The whole head sculpt is completely different from what I could see. But yeah, man, this looks really, really good. And I like that he's kind of got this kind of intense look in his like brow, like his forehead. You can see the different lines. And again, just really nice details in the hair. You can see like the waviness to it. And I really do like that little extra attention with just like the one piece of hair kind of in his face. Just over to the back, again, just really, really nice details all around. Now you do get two interchangeable head sculpts with this Winter Soldier figure. You do get this half mask one that we've been taking a look at, and then you also get this really awesome unmasked head sculpt. And man, this looks fantastic. So I'll go ahead and interchange that now, just to show you. And it just pops off just like that. And then we'll just put this new one on. And then it just snaps in just like so. Alright, so here's the unmasked Winter Soldier head sculpt. And like I said, man, I mean, this looks really, really good, especially compared to what we've had before. And I'll look at some of those other figures later. But if you remember that original Winter Soldier, just unmasked head sculpt, it was absolutely awful. So this is a huge, huge step up. Now this is pretty much the same head sculpt from what I could see as the masked head sculpt. I mean, it's got the same hair. You can see, especially if you look at the side, it's the same hair sculpt. And the eyes, I think the eyes look about the same too. But I'm pretty sure this is the same head sculpt as the masked head sculpt. It just doesn't have a mask across the face. And I darken it down just a little bit more to give you a bit more of a mood lighting effect to these head sculpts. Again, man, it just looks so, so good. This is definitely my favorite part about this figure is these head sculpts. The only thing I'll say is because this is based off of the TV show and not the movie, we're not going to get the goggles. It would have been cool if they could have figured out a way to have removable goggles on this one. And then also, it wouldn't have been bad to have just one more head sculpt with that kind of black, like domino mask effect that they've done around his eyes before, like you see in the poster. And then even sometimes when you see the goggles come off, he's got this black around his eye. That's the only thing I miss with this version of the figure. So the rest of the body of this figure is unfortunately the same exact body as they already made in 2013. So that's a bit of a downside of the figure, in my opinion. It's such a great character, and I really love the Winter Soldier movie. I think it's one of the best movies they've made for the MCU, and it's a shame they don't give this a character a little bit better quality figures. But they used the same one from almost 10 years ago. Seems kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's the same exact body, and I'll show you that now. So really the only differences are the colors. The sculpt itself is the same, and then they've changed a few different things, but you can see the color of the shirts is different. The color of the plastic pieces is a little bit different. It's a little bit better done. You can definitely see the buckle here as opposed to this one. So the harness itself, I thought was the same, but it might actually be different. It looks different now looking at it side by side. But everything else is the same, and you can even see some things aren't done as well. So the original, you could see the bullets were painted on the arm, but this one they weren't. So they were just kind of left unpainted. But the neck and the head sculpts are just far better on this one. You can see the neck isn't exposed on this one, but you can clearly see it here, and you can see the actual neck joint, which looks pretty bad. So the collar piece, they've done a much better job with. And then over to the back, again, a huge color difference. Pretty much everything is a different color. And just looking at that harness one more time, it's definitely the same harness. It just looked a little bit different because of the way it's sitting on the figure. But yeah, it's definitely the same piece. So literally everything on this figure from the shoulders down is exactly the same. I really can't find anything different sculpting wise. The star on the shoulder is far bigger, which looks way cooler. This one looks like a sticker. It's just way too small. I do like the details in the arm, but sometimes a figure doesn't need that line work to look more realistic, I guess. And with this arm, I mean, it's supposed to look like a big metal arm, so having these dark lines in there kind of throws it off just a little bit. So I kind of actually like this look much better. And I like the glove too. You can see they've painted the metal glove or the metal hand inside of the glove portion. You can see they missed it on this one. But it'd been nice if they gave us like some pinless joints or something like that. And they really didn't do anything different. I mean, it's the same figure. And the one thing that this figure really suffers from is he can't put his arms down. That's as far as he could put his arms down, and the old one's the same. So they really didn't fix that, so it's definitely unfortunate. And here's just a quick close-up of both the arms compared to each other. And man, again, I really wish they would have done some pinless joints. I think that would have been so cool. Alright, so taking a look at the accessories, this is one other big improvement for this figure. The original, like the Mandroid Wave Winter Soldier from the movie, it was really lackluster in general, but the gun was this futuristic looking sniper rifle or something, but just awful. So this one's definitely more based off of weapons you would typically use. So you do have the knife, which I believe is a reuse from the Civil War Bucky. I don't actually have that one, but I do remember seeing that knife. I do think it's a different color though, like the blade is silver. I think the blade originally was like this lead color, like a black. And then you do get this gun, which looks like kind of like a automatic handgun with like a squared off extension. I don't know if that's a silencer or what. And then you get this more like assault rifle looking gun, and it's got like a little scope on it. And then you also get a handgun, again with that kind of squared off front with a extended clip. So pretty cool looking, much more realistic guns. And that's the way it should be for this character. I mean, he is definitely a gun-heavy character. So as much as I love all the different weapons here, definitely, again, it's a huge step up from the older figure. There's certain things like the weapon storage. Like, there's just nothing there. And because they use these old parts, like this old belt, they actually sculpted the knife in the sheath, which is really stupid. So now there's a huge missed opportunity with just at least the knife being able to be sheathed. But there's really no weapon storage on the figure at all. I mean, unless you want to jam things in the belt or in the harness, which you're probably going to stretch everything out ultimately, there's really nowhere to store the weapons. So he's got to carry everything in his hands. And with things like the knife, I mean, that was a huge missed opportunity. And like, you're already getting all this sculpting from years ago. Why not just at least, resculpt that belt piece? So again, a bit of a miss. Here he is holding the machine gun, and you can kind of get him in a two-handed pose. Another shortcoming, honestly, with this figure is that you only get the same two hands you had with the old figure. So they're a little limited. And here he is holding both of the handguns, and again, he has two trigger fingers, so he can easily hold both those guns, no problem. And then finally, here he is holding the knife. And the knife is a little loose in his hands, especially the regular, like, human hand, but the robot hand seems to hold it okay. And here he is with Captain America's shield, and he looks pretty badass with this. And here he is with the old masked head sculpt that had the goggles. So if you want the goggles, you can definitely still put this head sculpt on it, because it is, again, the same body. But it's just not that great, honestly. For the first comparison, here he is next to the Winter Soldier figures. So you have the version of him from Infinity War, and you can see it's a totally different arm, and really the whole outfit's totally different. And this head sculpt's really good, but I still like this unmasked head sculpt better. And then, of course, you have the old Winter Soldier movie figure. So definitely a big difference between all three. I do really like this figure here. It's just that the look isn't like the Winter Soldier movie look, so I definitely like this one ultimately better. And then here he is with a Captain America from the movies, and then you also have the Crossbones figure. And Crossbones looks a little small, but I don't think he's like that tall of a person, and I like that Winter Soldier kind of has that imposing look, so these all look pretty cool next to each other. Here he is next to a couple Marvel Legends with some custom head sculpts. So this is the Mobius figure with a Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry head sculpt on it. And then this is the Iron Man from the Endgame. He's got that like time travel outfit. And then that's a custom head sculpt of Robert Downey. And then for the final comparison, here he is next to some other Marvel Legends in different sizes. So you have the comic version of Venom, which is bigger than the Winter Soldier. And then you have the kind of Mary Jane / Gwen Stacy body, and I just put this Black Widow head sculpt on it. So you can see there's definitely a nice variation in scale between different Marvel Legends characters. Alright, so that's my review of the Winter Soldier from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show. And for the most part, I really, really like this figure. I mean, the head sculpts alone are amazing, and I think that alone is enough to definitely buy this figure. My only real gripes about this figure, I mean, the glaring one is the fact that they reused this old body. So, I don't know, I feel like they really should have upgraded it at this point, but it's not a horrible body. The only thing I really don't like is right there. It just doesn't stand that great. So it does have some issues just standing on its own. And as much as I love both the head sculpts that come with him, I can't say it enough. I would love to have like that kind of like unmasked Batman style where he kind of has like the raccoon eyes or like the black makeup around the eyes. I just feel like that's what Winter Soldier looked like in that movie, and that's what people kind of remember. I know he definitely has scenes without the makeup around his eyes, but it's definitely a head sculpt I was hoping that we would get eventually, and we just still haven't really got a good version of it. And you know, the original is just so bad, so I'd really love to see them make an improvement on that. But as it stands, I mean, they definitely made great improvements. I definitely like the paint better. I like the accessories better. The head sculpts are phenomenal. I mean, it's far better than the original. So It's definitely a figure I would recommend picking up, especially if you don't have a Winter Soldier. And I think if you could just consider this is from the TV show, not the actual movie, then you could see why they didn't include like those specific head sculpts. So thanks for watching my review. Please subscribe, leave a comment or question if you have one. Like the video if you liked it. And until next time, guys, see ya.